Governor Allen, thanks very much for joining us. Let me kick it off with you. What are your thoughts on the? Thank you. What are your thoughts on this migrant debate right here from Syria?
Well, having been governor of Virginia, I would always say that the top two responsibilities of a state government are public safety and education. And I think the governors are acting perfectly reasonably in protecting the safety of their citizens, because I don't think anybody has any confidence that the Syrians, refugees, hundreds of thousands that are flowing across the Aegean to Greece, to Europe, and 10,000 or more to the U.S. are adequately screened. The point is if somebody's coming into our country, who are you going to ask in Syria about someone's background? How are you going to do a background check when there's actually no one you can talk to in Syria or Libya or Iraq that gives you any confidence whatsoever? And so I think the governors are doing the right thing, and I think state legislatures will cut off funding if any try to be resettled in their states as well, even if you have a governor who doesn't want to say we don't want to be welcoming.
Yeah, we've been talking about this morning, but, why wouldn't the president see that? I mean, clearly he's been calling for the head of Syria to step down, to say we have to get him out, and yet he continues to stick to this plan to take in at least 10,000 migrants. Hillary Clinton, former Secretary of State, also said she is up to taking up to 65,000.
Well, in my view, they're both out of touch and they're both wrong, because the people of the United States realize that our security is at risk here. They learn from what they've seen happen in Paris. Moreover, the overall strategy from the beginning should have been refugee camps or settlements where food and clothing and water and shelter are provided around the Syrian borders. Make them a no-fly zone. Whenever Syria becomes stable, they can easily go back to their home areas if they so desire. There's no reason that there should be literally hundreds of thousands of people risking their lives across the Aegean Sea, going to financially bankrupt Greece and to Europe, and all the displacement beyond the worry of safety, and can some jihadists be somehow in the midst of these folks? And so it seems to me that what the United Nations and the international community should be doing is setting up refugee camps, and good ones, with the proper shelter and living standards that you can, and have folks stay in the region near their homes as opposed to going to other continents. My goodness, when you're traveling, they're always asking you, have you been on a farm? And they're trying to prohibit, vegetables and meats and so forth coming in, which is somewhat reasonable. But my goodness, a jihadist is much more dangerous to our country than some smoked reindeer jerky or a mango.
Yeah. Can the governors or Congress, for that matter, have any power in this, in pushing back on the president's policy, or they will not have any power and this will move forward?
Well, Congress, first of all, could cut off funding. As far as the governors are concerned, or the states, to the extent there's any reciprocity or shared expenses. I was listening to Delegate Tim Hugo here in Virginia, driving in Northern Virginia, saying that while Governor McAuliffe is not one of those governors saying we don't want Syrian refugees coming in, he says they're going to make sure that in the next 2 years in the state budget there's no funding from Virginia taxpayers for Syrian refugees. So the Congress can cut off funding, so can the states, and hopefully the president will learn from what happened in Paris, and will also listen to the American people and say, we're going to have to take a pause here. Let's focus on refugee settlement camps or cities near Syria and the Syrian borders and that region, rather than having this migration of great risk, of great cost, and also of danger to those countries in which they might come into.
Yeah, I'm here with Geraldo Rivera. You made the point earlier that the governors actually can do something, and what the governor is saying is it's about cutting off funding.
Well, I guess, but let me just say, aside from best wishes to Governor Allen, there's very little comparison between the 10,000 thank you, sir, the 10,000 that will get into the United States eventually, and the 800,000 who have flooded from Syria willy-nilly through Turkey and Greece, through the Balkan states.
They're here already in Europe.
Poured into Europe. No one knows who those people are. I think that vetting, while not perfect, unfortunately, you can, if you get small children and the elderly and the persecuted religious minorities, it is possible to glean 10,000 out of that vast population.
How, Geraldo? If you're not getting any answers from the Syrian government,
if it's your grandma or if it's an infant, you have a reasonable expectation they're not going to be a suicide bomber, Maria. I think that it is
I don't know if you do, actually. They're putting children up for this. These people have said that they love death as much as we love life.
There are plenty of Sunni Muslim extremists of fighting age who can be excluded. Yes, I will divide families if necessary, because if you're a Christian, a Syrian Christian, and provable, and we know that, what are the odds? It has, as far as I know, unless you're a secret American convert, you're not going to be a suicide bomber. Well, my point is this. It is not impossible to get a tiny symbolic token number. That's all it is. 10,000 is a token. Right. You have millions of people on the move here. I agree with the governor, the senator, in the sense that we need safe havens in Syria. The United States and Russia have to work together to create a safe zone. We should keep people home, but I think to just turn our backs totally is not appropriate.
Go ahead, Governor.
Well, first of all, I want to be very clear, as you have the sirens behind you, that there should be no religious test for those who come into our country. And I think it would be very hard to actually verify someone's religious beliefs. They carry a cross on with them or something like that. These jihadists, these radical Islamist terrorists, are very cunning. They're very smart.
Why can't there be a religious test, Governor? Why can't there be a religious test?
In
World War II, wouldn't we have had some good sense behind a notion that we would accept Jewish refugees during World War II because it is the Jews who are the focus of the Nazi atrocities?
Because you don't know who they are.
A common sense
religious
test.
I agree with you.
The religious minorities being destroyed in Syria.
I agree with you as far as World War II.